Well, welcome back, sister wives. Now, if you've been watching this family for any amount of time, then you'll already know that the Browns have never led a peaceful life. But what exactly transpired after Kody and Christine split and sparked shock far beyond reality television? Tonight, we open the file fans refer to as the $1.6 million puzzle. It all started, as so many family dramas do, with one scene that seemed mundane on camera. A man, a woman, and a moving truck behind them. But eagle-eyed viewers saw something else. New documents, new assets, new liability. And before long, the internet was abuzz. What was Kody Brown actually up to behind the scenes? While Christine was packing up and heading out of Flagstaff, die-hard fans swamped Reddit, Facebook groups, and X threads with speculation. Some thought Kody was merely purchasing a permanent residence for Robyn and the rest of the children. Others were much more cynical, citing property documents filed that same month. The figures did not lie. A new mortgage, a trust with a new name, and a purchase amount in the vicinity of $1.6 million. For a guy who had just watched half of his plural family walk out the door, it was, at least to viewers, seemingly an odd time to incur new debt. This isn't about love anymore, went one viral post. It is about legacy, power, and that emotion reverberated across screenshots of county records were shared 1,000 times over. TikTok sleuths zoomed in on signatures, comparing them to deeds from years before. YouTube personalities parsed every date, every title transfer. And somewhere within that maelstrom of conjecture, one question gained traction. Was this a new beginning or a calculated maneuver? Within the show, Kody discussed the desire for a fresh start, a home that was free of painful history. But off camera, people observed the language of finance, supplanting the language of healing. Phrases such as equity, trust, and title transfer came to circulate within discussions that previously had concerned spiritual union and family ties. It was the natural development of a narrative polygamy to paperwork. In interviews, Christine's calm tone made the contrast sharper. She described choosing happiness, independence, and emotional safety for her children. Meanwhile, leaked details about land parcels at Coyote Pass suggested a behind-the-scenes shuffle of ownership. Some parcels appeared under new names, Janelle's, Mary's, while others stayed in Kody and Robyn's possession. The timing fascinated everyone. The transfers happened not long after Christine's legal filings began. Social media went abuzz with side-by-side comparison. Fans labeled spreadsheets like detectives, circling crime boards, linking dates and property IDs in colored lines. You could almost imagine the virtual gasp each time another record came up. It wasn't merely numbers. It was what those numbers meant. Years of marriage, investments put in together, dreams banked in red Arizona soil. Kody naturally provided his own account on camera. He spoke about a father's responsibility, about establishing a secure haven for his younger children. He glared at the camera with irritation, stating that strangers never grasped the depth of plural marriage. And yet, it was the same lens that caught Robyn's strained smile whenever money was mentioned, a smile that viewers later rewound in slow motion, looking for significance in the flash of her eyes. Before it aired, the house of $1.6 million was a symbol for some. It was a fortress they saw, for Kody or his hideaway. But to all who watched, it was a moment of change. The man who had been painted as the bold patriarch now seemed trapped by choices, both emotional and economic. Was he keeping his family safe or keeping something else safe? Reporters who had been covering reality television business maneuvers were jumping into the fray. Entertainment Tonight created a timeline of property buys throughout all four marriages. Reality Buzz bloggers double-checked court documents. Each new report fueled the firestorm. Even the passing fans, who had lost interest after season 10, found themselves reeled back into the drama. The tale had it all: heartbreak, cash, legal drama, and above all, mystery. Perhaps the most popular TikTok was posted by a viewer who said she drove by the newly acquired house. Her clip garnered more than 2 million views within 24 hours. "Y'all, this ain't no humble home," she breathed theatrically, sweeping across a iron fence and a steep driveway. "This is high, and this is castle." Comments erupted under the clip. "How in the world can he afford that? Did TLC pay for this?" Christine left and suddenly he is swimming in cash? True reality television inevitably mixes fact and show. Contracts, production bonuses, and appearance fees tend to blur the financial image, but the timing of Kody's purchase seemed on the nose. The house closed just weeks after a court document emerged showing that Christine's custody and support negotiations were underway. Coincidence? Possible. But coincidence is the oxygen of reality television. Mongering amateur analysts in fan podcasts sounded like forensic accountants. They defined terms like equity draw, debt shielding, and revocable trust. The technical lingo lent credibility to conspiracy theories. It made listeners feel they were part of an actual investigation instead of rumor. They wanted to know not only what transpired, but how it could transpire legally. As one host described it, if you follow the paper trail, you follow the truth. And that is when the tale took on a life of its own. Memes went around where Kody was dressed in a trench coat with the description Master of Coyote Pass Finance. Twitter threads equated the Browns' properties to monopoly. A viral Reddit thread called The Math of Polygamy gained thousands of upvotes as people debated if splitting assets in plural family was even possible under normal marital law. Behind the split, second humor, however, was real tension. Viewers who had previously rallied around the family's togetherness felt betrayed, not so much by crime, but by contradiction. The show had taught them cooperation. The records implied division. The patriarch who invoked common dreams seemed to be executing separate deeds. Christine, on the other hand, was doing wonderfully well online. Her cooking videos, upbeat posts, and easy-going personality contrasted starkly with Flagstaff's gloom. Every new selfie punctuated the story. Freedom suited her just fine. The brighter she shone, the more suspicious viewers were of Kody's agenda. They needed a villain, and the spreadsheets provided a ready-made backdrop for one. But life does not usually fit into villain-hero narrative. Some pundits leapt to Kody's defense, saying that any sane parent would organize housing and money in the wake of a large family breakup. They reminded viewers that mortgages and trusts are commonplace weapons, not death. But the mood of internet discussion had long since moved on. As soon as people catch a whiff of intrigue, reason no longer holds sway. What concerned everyone now was the narrative, and Kody's narrative was growing murkier by the week. Production shots from the next season didn't assist. Drone views dwelled on the empty, sprawling acres of Coyote Pass, the sun setting behind abandoned hopes, voice over suggested regret and loss. Meanwhile, viewers used Google Earth to find the supposed new property, comparing rooftops and backyard pools to listing photos. Each find was a revelation. Then there was the occasion that sealed the suspense filing of a new trust, the Whitstone Trust, approximately at the same time as the home acquisition. It had the sound of biblical, sensational, almost poetic. Fans inquired, why call it that? What does it denote? There were speculations it was a white stone of forgiveness from the Bible. Others imagined it was merely a ruse to conceal ownership. Either speculation, however, became the centerpiece of internet buzz. Commenters descended in droves on video chats when a live stream was underway, dropping in super chats that were straight out of Detective check Coconino County filing, check loan refinancing under the name of the trust. The viewers weren't simply observing, they were experimenting together to do some mass sleuthing. It made passive viewers become active detectives, just the sort of activity every YouTube commentator wishes. By the middle of this evolving saga, there had been a pattern established. Kody's on-screen story of emotional redemption conflicted with off-screen accounts of financial movement. Each undercut the other sufficiently to keep it impossible to say what was going on. That tension between confession and cover-up is the pulse of every fabulous reality television enigma. As the weeks passed, fan finds made it into the media. Pop culture now ran a headline that said, "Fans question timing of Kody Brown's new mortgage." The word question did all the work, implying something without asserting evidence. And that is the fine line this story towed, ongoing speculation close but not quite accusation. Within confidential Facebook groups, spectators posted screenshots of each quote from the show that could possibly apply to finance. He said he felt trapped. One post, perhaps he meant financial. Another responded, or spiritually, it is all the same to him. Thousands of responses accumulated, mixing personal observation with economic theory. The emotional undertow propelling all of this was straightforward. Fans had invested 13 seasons of compassion in the Browns. Seeing them break apart felt intimate. The enigma of the $1.6 million home became a stand, in for something greater, the extent to which love, trust, and money can abide together in one house. Internet commentators who reported on the saga employed cinematic techniques to amplify that sense, echoing sound effects when they referred to trust documents, slow zooming over aerial shots of the property, hushed voice narration over screenshots of deeds. The style transformed dull legal paperwork into the script of a thriller, and that is precisely the way that fans consumed. Each new release promised answers, but gave more questions. Each proof birthed counter proofs, reaction vids, and blazing comment stream. The algorithm paid for the mess. The audience craved. As we finish this introductory chapter, there is one thing that is certain. The $1.6 million number isn't a number. It is an emblem of change. Whether you take it as rebirth or receding, it is the moment when Kody Brown ceased being a television dad and a figure in an on-life mystery his own fans are still attempting to unravel. So besties, what do you guys actually think went down behind those closed gates? Was it a family attempting to reunite? Or a tactical fiscal tango choreographed to the timing of public oversight? Share your opinions in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you are all the way in on the Sister Wives investigation. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the next in-depth dive. The tale is far from finished. The desert surrounding Flagstaff appears broad, barren expanses of golden grass and red earth. But in the world of sister wives, the land is the backdrop for all the dreams, vows, and quarrels the Brown family ever. Fans remember when Kody first gestured to that panoramic hillside and announced it their forever home. It was to be the home where 4 wives and a dozen children could finally stay put. But years down the line, Coyote Pass evolved into something else, a symbol of all that broke them apart. When the $1.6 million house showed up in property records, eyes automatically went back to that land. What did happen to all that big talk about constructing together? TikTok commentators matched up screenshots of past episodes with new drone footage, measuring driveways, marking lots, and counting acres. Some viewers even constructed digital maps, marking where each of the wives' parcels should have been. The image that resulted was chaotic, duplications of deeds, missing taxes, and unclear signatures. The biggest shock came from an update in a county that revealed one parcel suddenly diverted to a trust name shared by Kody and Robyn in hours. Social media erupted. He didn't just move on, he moved ownership. One of them posted, "This is chess, not checker." Someone else responded. Within the fan bases, the theory formed as the public observed Christine driving off into the distance. Kody and Robyn were supposedly reworking documents in the background. Naturally, nobody outside the family would know the whole story, but rumor converted routine legal documents into a dramatic tale of deception. On Reddit forums, forum members debated whether it was even feasible to divide property in plural family. Lawyers got in on the discussion, describing community, property statutes, LLC formation, and how trusts could shield assets. People who had watched in the past for family drama were now citing tax codes and county record figures. Meanwhile, TLC cameras continued rolling. The new season began with scenes of Kody walking back and forth over the empty lots, wind blowing through his jacket as he grumbled about loyalty and togetherness. But audiences weren't having it. The contrast was too strong. On television, he taught unity. Outside of television, fans were posting links to new mortgages. It seemed staged by irony itself. Christine's interviews only widened the chasm. Her calm, resolute voice outlined emotional strangulation, how she had pleaded for transparency and never got it. Fans assumed her words were connected to the paper, that transparency meant money as well as emotion. A viral clip of her stating, "I couldn't stay where I wasn't trusted," was turned into a meme placed over screenshots of deeds. The internet had transformed actual heartbreak into an online investigation. By now, the mystery had gone mainstream. Entertainment blogs published timelines titled "Follow the Money." YouTube commentators layered ominous background music under close-ups of county documents. The thumbnails, Kody's scowling face beside bold red text reading $1.6 million house exposed, were irresistible. Each upload racked up hundreds of thousands of views, feeding the algorithm and tightening the feedback loop between speculation and rating. The fans had turned from observers into sleuths, and they needed fresh evidence each week. A few internet sleuths followed the path even further. Public records suggested refinancing dates that aligned with break time on the set. Others indicated Robyn's name showing up on lines that were previously only Kody's consolidation, convenience strategy. Nobody could know, but the timing had the fans hooked to the television. The emotional heat increased when Janelle's plot came into the discussion. She was the most realistic of the wives, the one who always had faith in Coyote Pass as an investment. But then she spoke about encountering financial setback, and the audience figured it out. How could this family that once held the promise of equality now be short of cash when one arm seemed to live in opulence? TikToks pieced together her admission with images of the mansion, accompanied by sensational music and headings such as, "So where did the money go?" By now, the Brown saga had stopped being about marriage. It was now about money, survival, and power. Sociologists and media pundits weighed in, dissecting the special economic burden of plural family. They explained how shared living could confuse individual property, complicating breakups with agonizing interest. Viewers felt validated. They weren't gossiping anymore. They were learning contemporary sociology live. And then came the shocker that reignited all the forums. A fan discovered a listing photo that was the spitting image of the one thought to belong to Kody and Robyn's home, except that this one depicted the inside marble countertops, swirly staircase, chandeliers sparkling above wood floors so highly polished they glimmered. It was less a healing retreat and more of a victory statement. "So much for downsizing," one of the posts said. The comment section became an outburst of shock, humor, and moral judgment. Viewers who'd seen the Browns' humble early days in Utah now gazed at opulence. The contrast was cinematic. At the same time, Robyn's silence made everything louder. Every episode featured her eyes filling with tears, demanding she just wanted peace, not war. But online viewers analyzed every look, accusing guilt, fear, or victory, depending on whom you spoke to. Silence doesn't silence speculation in fan culture. It makes it louder. And that silence fueled the next generation of theories. By mid-season, even mainstream media admitted the frenzy. Top headlines, such as The Internet, is obsessed with Kody Brown's mortgage moves, made the rounds on all platforms. Finance YouTuber, yes, channels that usually specialize in tips on investing. We're dissecting Brown's real estate choices. Screenshots from Zillow and county records to decode how mortgages are done in Arizona. The crossover from reality television to finance made the news feel larger than just entertainment. It became a cautionary tale regarding transparency in relationships, business, and religion. And then a surprise turn, speculation that the Coyote Pass land could be sold. No confirmation ever arose, but that one rumor sent shockwaves across fan community. If it were true, it would mean the dream that had brought the family together was officially over. Comment threads full of dirges for what could have been. They began with hope and ended in paper. Others answered caustic. Paperwork was always the love language. The emotional stakes rose once more when Christine put up a mysterious quote on Instagram. Some people build walls, others plant roots elsewhere. To regular fans, it was inspirational. To devoted fans, it was a message, one of guarded acknowledgement that she had moved on, not only emotionally but financially. In hours, screenshots of the post were shared throughout Reddit, titled as Christine's Clapback. Meanwhile, clips of upcoming episodes demonstrated Kody griping about the expense of having several homes. Viewers were presented with the contradiction immediately. Opulent homeownership versus alleged money troubles. The comments were brutal. "You can't cry poor from a mansion," one of the first popular tweets read, which reverberated through all reaction videos after. Even his defenders had trouble. Editing the show made sure to highlight Kody's frustration, anger, and defense, set against Christine and Janelle's scenes of lightness and serenity. Visually, it was all the better than even the best narration could achieve. Each sigh, each furrowed brow was evidence in the trial by audience. The more Kody talked about justice, the more fans replayed those dates on the mortgages when he declared, "I just want to protect what is mine." Fans cut it over images of property. The story had broken out of his control altogether. Online, he was no longer a father. He was a study in what occurs when power, religion, and funds meet under public watch. As discussions deepened, new emotional layers emerged. Some viewers admitted feeling genuine sorrow, remembering early seasons when the family's unity seemed unbreakable. "We rooted for them," one podcast sighed. "Now we're watching the fallout like a financial crime." Others were candidly entertained. "This is the most dramatic thing TLC's ever produced, and half of it's off camera." All the while, Christine was the inadvertent heroine of the epic. Her new life, chronicled on social media with selfies and recipe videos, became evidence that freedom was attainable. Former fans who had idolized plural marriage now cheered independence. The moral axis of the saga had completely turned, and the $1.6 million house was the ideal visual contrast. Decadence for some, freedom for others. As fall settled over Flagstaff, drone footage captured the mansion surrounded by leaves falling from the tree. Nature changed. Even if the family hadn't voice, over promos hinted at things to come. New truth, hidden decision, unexpected confrontation. Fans knew what that translated to. Another bout of speculation, another round of threads of evidence, another cycle of emotional argument. And so the mystery deepened. Was Coyote Pass ever meant to be built? Were the financial moves signs of strategy or survival? The only certainty was uncertain, and that's what kept millions watching. Because in reality, television, mystery isn't a side effect, it's the main ingredient. So what do you think? Are we seeing a deliberate financial move or merely a family adapting to get through the collapse of fame? Share your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a like if you've been following every turn. And don't forget to subscribe and click that little bell for the next installment of this developing investigation. The deeper we go, the weirder it gets. As the dust cleared over Coyote Pass and the world's magnifying glass moved on to mortgage document, a single face came to loom over every thumbnail, every headline, and every discussion thread: Robyn Brown. To most, she had become the quiet eye of the hurricane, the last wife standing along with Kody, the one who appeared to possess both his trust and, in the estimation of some fans, his secrets. But in the dysfunctional world of sister wives, silence is more ominous than confession. And Robyn's tears, evasions, and lengthy pauses screamed silently to an audience already tense. Since the day that Christine walked out, Robyn's presence had taken on new meaning. TLC cameras also photographed her differently. Now, softer lighting, less noisy room, tighter close-ups. She choked on the word unity, but it was a different story where she was flawless decor, expensive furniture, and that infamous Flagstaff mansion that everyone couldn't help but talk about. Fans soon nicknamed it the Fortress, a tangible representation of the emotional and financial gap between Robyn and the other Browns. The social media response was swift and merciless. "She is crying in a mansion and Janelle's in an RV," one of the viewers posted on X, previously Twitter. "Robyn's loyalty appears a whole lot like luxury. wrote another. The remarks ran in packs. TikTok influencers posted side edits, Robyn crying over lost sisterhood on one hand, aerial shots of her multi-story mansion on the other. It wasn't criticism alone. It was cinematic irony created by the viewers themselves. Each sob turned into a meme, each confession turned into a quote, layered over screenshots of marble floors and crystal chandeliers. But then came the turn of events that blew the conversation wide open. While Robyn was being painted as a manipulator and greed monger by some corners of the fanbase, yet another group of fans came to her defense. They claimed she was the fall guy, the woman who had gone along with what Kody dictated, not calling the shots. On online forums, arguments became heated. Was Robyn the puppet master, or yet another victim of a man unable to keep his flagging empire together? The polarization drew her tale into a magnet. Viewers couldn't turn away. Then, the interviews, the ones that threw gasoline on every theory in existence. Robyn, crying, admitted she felt abandoned, alone, and misunderstood. "I wanted this family," she whispered, her eyes brimming. "I didn't want monogamy." The irony struck like a lightning bolt. She had gotten precisely that. Kody, who had once been stretched thin over 4 homes, was now virtually all hers. The fans dubbed it the Robyn era, and depending on whom you ask, that was either poetic justice or the greatest betrayal. Social media picked apart the emotional rhetoric of that episode line by line. Fans pointed out the way Robyn's sentences tended to replicate Kody's, employing the exact words such as betrayed, disloyal, family dream. Some speculated that their interviews were staged or synchronized. Others claimed it was just evidence of 2 souls tied by mutual defensive. Either way, the visuals were clear. They talked as one entity, but the rest talked as individuals. And in the Sister Wives universe, harmony can be a whole lot of alone. YouTube commentators explored this. Videos with titles such as Robyn's emotional manipulation over Kody, a deep dive, and the psychology of the last wife standing went viral throughout the platform. Fans obsessed over explanation. Why did Kody stand up for Robyn so strongly? Why did his sympathy appear to evaporate when Christine or Janelle felt hurt? Why did all discussions regarding finances lead back to Robyn's house? In fan podcasts, theories morphed from gossip into full-fledged social critique. Some attributed Kody's favoritism to patriarchal conditioning, others to emotional dependence. The most viral theory, though, was a Reddit post that was written like a script treatment. Robyn didn't break the family. She became the mirror that revealed its cracks. It was poetic, it was brutal, and it went viral everywhere. Meanwhile, Christine's story was blooming in complete contrast. Her Instagram stream was $1 million of giggle, family suppers, and snuggly kitchen moments. She seemed unencumbered, alive, radiant. That visual, contrasted with Robyn's sobbing, created a visual metaphor that couldn't be explained away. To the fans, it was obvious. Freedom seemed happy, and loyalty seemed sad. The production crew of TLC knew precisely what they were doing. When Robyn was on screen, pacing slowed in episodes, musical cues mellowed, camera angles hung around. They weren't portraying a villain. They were portraying a tragic queen stuck in a decaying castle. But even that subtlety was made use of for fan theory. Was TLC shielding Robyn? Or were they presenting her fall in slow motion? At the same time, the discussion of finances would not go away. Whenever Kody or Robyn uttered the words financial struggle, fans retorted with Zillow listing screenshots and mortgage history. The $1.6 million home was no longer a place. It was a beacon of credibility, or lack thereof. How could the audience believe their tale of woe when the optics screamed excess and comfort? But the most captivating element of this drama wasn't the mansion itself. It was the way audience opinion became the actual driving force behind the story. The more viewers broke down Robyn, the more the show capitalized on her emotional journey, and the more TLC advertised episodes with her tearful responses. Viewership went through the roof each time she burst into tears. Robyn's tears were worth their weight in gold. In television terminology, it was pure genius. A hero-villain combination. Samoan viewers loved to hate and hated to love. Was television lightning in a bottle? Unbeknownst to her, Robyn became the emotional center of Sister Wives. All of the subplots, all of the headlines, all of the fights orbited around her. When fans declared the show should be titled Kody and Robyn, they weren't far off. Simultaneously, Kody's evolution became increasingly contrasted. The affable patriarch of early seasons was nowhere to be found. Instead, there was a man tormented by loss, ire, and defensive. His face, lines etched, red-faced, frequently shuddering with rage, became the ideal visual counterpoint to Robyn's tearful tranquility. The two might as well have been a couple as survivors grasping at the final shreds of authority. Fans saw the emotional disconnect. Robyn's agony appeared staged, Kody's appeared real. That dichotomy gave rise to another viral conspiracy theory, that Robyn's tears were her shield, an instrument with which she disarmed Kody's fury and manipulated public sympathy. A video of her whispering, "I just want my family back," set over slow music, racked up millions of views because it perfectly captured tragedy fans had been watching years. But not everyone was persuaded by her tears. On the contrary, the backlash escalated. Reaction videos called Robyn's fake tears fans aren't buying. It racked up astronomical view count. Comments were cruel, and yet each critique only served to make her more visible. Hate watching turned into engagement, and engagement turned into money. TLC rode out the controversy, dropping additional Robyn-dominant teaser. Each sob, each sighed, each exhalation became marketing gold. By then, Robyn wasn't only a cast member, she was a cultural icon to some. She was hypocrisy and manipulation. To others, she was isolation. The price of being the sole believer in a shattered fantasy. Either way, she was unerasable, and that, in television parlance, is winning. Behind all the commotion, one thread continued. Power, who possessed it, who lost it, and who still coveted it. Kody grasped authority that no longer held. Christine asserted autonomy that couldn't be taken back. Janelle held together strength with weariness, and Robyn, unwittingly or not, remained the quiet custodian of what was left. The house, the trust, the last title. As one supporter summed it up beautifully on X, Christine earned her freedom, Robyn earned the fortress, Kody earned the debt, and we earned the drama. That single tweet was liked more than 200,000 times, encapsulating the emotional arithmetic of the entire show. But under the humor, something more was brewing. A query about the price of loyalty. Had Robyn's love kept her safe or trapped her? Was her mansion a sign of security, or a cage in gold that she couldn't possibly leave even if she wished to? Those questions stuck around well after the credits on that episode finished rolling. Each post, each clip, each Reddit thread rang out with the same contradiction. Robyn had it all, yet seemed unhappy. The audience had already reached their conclusion way back when, but in their hearts, they were all sitting there for the same reason. A confession, a moment of truth, a chink in the flawless armor. And that is where the suspense really starts. Because what comes next in the saga of Kody and Robyn isn't land or dollars, it is reputation. And in the era of the internet, reputation is the most tenuous asset of all. So, what do you guys think? Is Robyn the mastermind of her own narrative, or simply another move in Kody's game of control? Let me know in the comments below. Smash the like button if you are still hooked to this emotional roller coaster. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, because part 2 goes into what fans are deeming the breaking. There is a moment in every long-standing narrative when tension becomes intolerable, when all secrets, all denials, all public smiles begin to crack under their own strain. For the Brown family, that moment didn't occur on television first. It occurred online, in murmurs, screenshots, and 1,000 threads on Reddit that slowly stitched together the dots between emotional fallout, legal filings, and financial maneuver no one quite understood. And just like that, the fans who once rooted for Kody Brown's dream of unity became the very people dissecting how it fell apart. When season 19 featured its mid-season storyline, the tone of Sister Wives was forever altered. The lighting was bluer, the music more ominous. The confessionals weren't merely melancholy, they were ghostly. Kody's formerly authoritative stature had dwindled to frustration, paranoia, and outbursts of rage that no one, not even the editor, could temper. The man who used to espouse harmony was now standing in the midst of devastation, grasping for control that had been gone for a long time. It wasn't about Christine leaving it was about everyone else seeing him lose everything right before their eyes. Social media was merciless. He is not the head of the family. He is the last man standing in a house built on denial, one of the viral posts stated. Every time he goes on and on about loyalty, another lie reveals itself. Another fan commented on thread. Throughout TikTok, content creators crafted timelines linking the sale of the family home, the mortgage passes, and the hidden hints within ancient footage. Fans analyzed seasons like detectives examining clues, looking for tone changes, looking for facial expressions that suggested lying or fear. They no longer needed a narrator. They were now narrators. And then there was the bombshell reveal that brought it all roaring back to life. TLC broadcast the moment of Kody, clearly shaken, pacing inside the confessional room, mumbling, "I don't owe anyone anything." It was not just a line, it was a manifesto. It hit viewers like lightning. To critics, it was evidence of selfish. To his supporters, it was the sound of a man pushed too far. The rift grew deeper. In the meantime, Christine's new life resembled a fairy tale. Her wedding uploads trended on social media. Each smile, each laugh, each photo posted felt like a cry of liberation. The fans dubbed her the Phoenix wife, resurrected from polygamy's ashes. Whenever she surfaced online, the internet breathed as one, perceiving in her happiness the validation of decades of emotional labor. But while Christine soared, Kody appeared to deteriorate. His interviews became unhinged. His voice wavered between sad and defiant. He ranted about betrayal, about injustice, about how his wives had ganged up against him. But what impressed viewers the most wasn't what he said. It was what he didn't say. Where was the accountability? Where was the empathy? The Kody Brown of 2010, the confident leader who spoke about unity and purpose, was gone, replaced by a man visibly haunted by resentment and regret. And through it all, Robyn remained at his side, loyal, teary-eyed, and eerily composed. In one interview, she admitted, "It feels like I'm being punished for being faithful." That line became a storm all on its own. Audiences argued back and forth. Was she really devastated, or was she acting the victim? Within hours, reaction videos filled YouTube. Content creators slowed down her words, zoomed in on her face, dissected each inflection. It wasn't gossip anymore. It was forensic emotional dissecting. Audiences weren't just watching Sister Wives, they were opening it up to investigation. Reddit threads blew up with headlines like, "The Secret Language of Robyn's Tears," "How Kody Uses Emotion as a Weapon," "The Unseen Motivation Behind the $1.6 million Home." Each new theory stoked the fire, and the ratings of the show followed suit. People couldn't look away. Each scene was like evidence. Each confession was like a clue. The Browns were no longer just a family. They were an open, breathing mystery. But beneath the memes and viral deconstructions, a more profound question arose. Was the show capturing a genuine collapse, or egging it on? Several longtime viewers started to wonder if Sister Wives had crossed an unseen boundary. What began as a tale of religion and harmony had devolved into a television. The closeness that previously made the show so relatable now made it heartbreaking. Kody wasn't in charge anymore. He was disintegrating, and millions of viewers were watching. In that deconstruction, each fiscal decision acquired symbolic significance. The sale of Coyote Pass wasn't form. Instead, it was a metaphor for relinquishing. The $1.6 million house wasn't extravagance. Instead, it was a monument to loss. Even Robyn's jewelry, frequently seen up close, became material for speculation regarding money, guilt, and emotional payment. Viewers weren't merely watching television. Instead, they were interpreting symbolism. By now, Christine's narrative had overshadowed the others. Her memoir teasers, her interviews, and her serene, reflective voice created an image of healing that was so diametrically opposite from chaos elsewhere. Her measured, lucid words became the moral guidebook of the saga. And every time she wrote about peace, it put Kody's tantrums in even worse perspective. That is when a shocking revelation shook the fan base, sealed court record. Fans learned that certain documents associated with the Browns' property transfers had been locked away from public viewing. That one fact drove social media into a frenzy. YouTubers started dropping video after video, deconstructing what could be concealed behind the conjectures ran the gamut from boring to salacious. But something was sure. Secrecy always generates curiosity. Kody and Robyn's efforts to keep things private only fueled the public interest. If there is nothing to hide, why seal it? A fan questioned in a viral TikTok that accrued more than 1 million views. Transparency ended when accountability began. Another wrote matter of fact. The narrative had flipped altogether. The Browns were no longer the heroes of their own tale, the viewers. And the viewers weren't going to let go. Each clip was a Rorschach test of culture. Was Kody a man deceived by unfaithful spouses, or a patriarch whose kingdom had collapsed because of its own gravity? Was Robyn a wife caught in a dying fantasy, or the unobtrusive instigator of the mayhem? There were no answers, only opinions, and that doubt kept viewers coming back. As the season approached its conclusion, tension was at its peak. Christine's serene interviews paralleled scenes of Kody walking back and forth, sobbing and blaming his family for betrayal. The contrast was agonizing, and somewhere between those two worlds, audiences found themselves conflicted, not with sides, but with empathy and weariness. One fan post framed it perfectly. It is not a family. It is a cautionary tale about love, power, and control. And perhaps that is why Kody Brown's story continues to have power. Because under the drama and the gossip is something we can all understand. The destruction of illusion. We all want to believe in forever. We all want to hope love can repair what is broken. But when pride gets ahead of empathy, when control gets in the way of connection, even the most solid things fall apart. By this point, even production itself looked exhausted. Episodes concluded with lingering shots, long silences, dissolving sunlight, vacant rooms. The show seemed to be mourning itself. The dream of one family under God had withered into a haunting echo of what was lost. And yet, as uncomfortable as it was to witness, fans couldn't look away. Because on a deep level, Sister Wives had transcended television. It had become a reflection. A reflection of ambition, of faith, of ego, and of heartbreak. And as long as Kody and Robyn were together, viewers knew that the story was never really over. But the actual suspense wasn't in what did happen. It was in what could happen next. Would the ultimate marriage weather the storm? Would the documents forever remain sealed? Would Kody confront his own reflection and at last acknowledge the devastation no one knew? And that is precisely why they continued to watch. So, besties, before we proceed to what comes next, the aftermath, the reflection, and the eerie silence that ensues after the mayhem. Don't forget to like this video if you are still here. Subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell, and continue those theories in the comments. Because what comes next brings fans their much anticipated The Reckoning. And here we are, The saga that started as a vision of oneness, faith, and family has become a contemporary American tragedy, one that the world has seen play out frame by frame, season by season, confession by confession. For over a decade, Kody Brown and his plural household welcomed the world into their home, their hearts, and their challenge. But now that the dust has settled on what has been dubbed the $1.6 million mystery by fans, the reality left behind isn't one of property, cash, or even betrayal. It is one of the cost of refusing to let go of a dream that was already lost. When the finale was broadcast, there was no triumph, no redemption, no reunion, just silence. Christine's laughter echoed through social media clips, a symbol of freedom, of a woman reborn. Janelle's quiet strength became the internet's rallying cry for independence. Mary's dignified distance reminded viewers that walking away doesn't mean failure. Sometimes, it's the only form of survival. But Kody and Robyn, their narrative adopted a creepy quiet. Cameras caught them sitting away from each other, their eyes empty with fear. That vibrant energy once marking their on-screen chemistry had been sapped, replaced by the bitter sting of realization. This wasn't about winning at all. This was about survival, about living through the effects of pride, secrecy, and misplaced trust. Social media responses were immediate and unrelenting. "This is no longer a show about polygamy," commented one Reddit user. "It is a case study in denial." Another trending comment was, "Every episode feels like watching a man try to rebuild a house that no longer exists." TikTok montages went viral, split-screen vignettes, contrasting the family's early years with their latest collapse. One featured Kody's first wedding vow overlays fading into him walking alone through vacant. The audio was silent except for a beating heartbeat, the kind of fan edit that punches you in the stomach. The internet no longer devoured Sister Wives, it possessed it. Each post, each clip, each theory became part of an aggregate narrative, one constructed by the same crowd that once cheered the dream along. And it is what makes this tale so haunting. The same crowd that celebrated the Browns' start now documents their downfall. But beneath the fandom and the din, something more was happening. A reckoning even the producers of the show couldn't turn a blind eye to. Insiders on the set suggested that seasons to come would turn inward, lessening the fighting and more reflection. But even that assurance came with an air of doubt, because reflection and truth is admitting to the thing that maybe none of them were willing to verbalize out loud. That love, when stretched too thin, ultimately shattered. Then the financial aftermath, the only thing that people had been speculating about for months. As long as the $1.6 million amount was an enigma wrapped in speculation, documents of record confirmed the suspicions of viewers. Funds had been moved around, properties reassessed, loans remortgaged. Was it desperation, necessity, strategy? Who knew? But the perception spoke for itself. A family once held together by common aspirations, now divided by legal lines and padlocked fences. Christine, in the meanwhile, kept on climbing, both as a person and in the public eye. Her interviews were breezy, her laugh sounded real, her responses rooted in serenity and not suffering. She did not have to fight or defend herself. Her joy was the response. Fans were calling it the softest revenge ever. She was not out to demolish Kody. She was simply finished playing his game. And that tension between her independence and his anger became the rhythm of the whole conversation. Because whereas Christine progressed, Kody appeared to walk around the same emotional well. In one interview, he made the statement, "I still feel betrayed every day." To the viewers, it wasn't sympathy they were feeling. It was exhaustion, betrayal possible. But viewers perceived something more profound. A man betrayed not by his wives, but by himself. By then, Robyn's crying no longer brought pity to most viewers. They incited debate instead. "Are those tears for Kody or for the dream that is gone?" wrote one fan beneath a viral clip. "She is not crying over what she lost. She is crying because the control is gone," another commented. The conversation was raw, unprocessed, and profoundly human. Each viewer inserted their own tales of heartache, manipulation, or strength into the Brown. That is why Sister Wives was more than a program. It was emotional archaeology. Fans weren't merely watching television. They were digging up their own wounds. And as the last moments of the most recent season dissolved into blackness, the symbolism cut deep. A pan of Coyote Pass, vacant and motion, wind rustling over desert grass, no music, no voiceover, silent. That silence spoke volume. It wasn't the noise of closure. It was the noise of aftermath. Audiences sat in that silence, reliving all that had brought them to this moment. From the early days of communal laughter to the last icy goodbyes, the story had come full circle. The family once violating social norms was now a morality tale about what occurs when togetherness segues into loneliness, when love turns to control and faith turns to fear. But most shocking surprise of all may not be what went down on television. It is yet to come. Whispers circulate about a tell-all special, uncut tape and a streaming contract potentially, for the first time exposing what the network wouldn't show. Some think it is the Browns' last act. Others think it is the beginning of their resurrection. A part lives, a part futures, and a part stories to be told. Whatever it is, one thing is for sure. The Sister Wives saga isn't quite finished captivating the world. It is matured, from a family drama to a cautionary tale of fame, ego, and emotional survival. As viewers browse comments, watch reactions, and relive the last 14 years of clips, the question remains, was it ever about faith and family after all? Or was it always about control, image, and pretending to be perfect? The truth, like the desert breeze, is elusive, but it is always there, murmuring through every unresolved conversation and every silent apology. And that is what brings people back, not for answers, but for the haunting possibility of. Because when you remove the headlines, the hashtags, and the heartbreak, this isn't the tale of one man or one family. It is a reflection of how dreams fall apart when honesty is lost. It is about the risk of believing love without accountability can endure forever. So as the screen fades to black, one final time, fans are left not with resolution, but reflection. And maybe that's the real lesson, that some endings aren't about closure, but about learning to live with what's been revealed. And if you've stuck with me on this whole deep dive through the heartbreak, the gossip, and the deconstruction of one of reality television's most beloved family, you already know what to do. Give that like button a click to support this content. Leave your theories in the comments below. What do you think actually went down behind the $1.6 million mystery? And don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell, because the truth, however it may turn out, is still unfolding, and you won't want to miss what is to come. This isn't the end, best. It is just the next beginning.